I need to get in shape. So what exactly does that mean, and from whose perspective? Are you finally recognizing that beer belly, or frustrated by the difficulty in shedding the years of baby weight? Were you once the all-star and now the no-star? Maybe you are young and eager and looking for the extra edge, or maybe you just want to post that epic beach bikini picture on Instagram. Hopefully, you just want to be healthy and strong in an effort to live your fullest life. But no matter the reason, Adam Bracken has actually heard them all. Adam Bracken, the founder of the Fitness Lab, found his calling early on, and he hasn't looked back. He went from washing towels and wiping down equipment to training some of the country's best athletes while opening up 2 studios in a very quick amount of time. His 3rd location of the Fitness Lab is set to open in early fall. Adam is right on track. The profession is showing no signs of slowing down. Employment of fitness trainers and instructors is projected to grow 10% from 2016 to 2026. So how does this affect you? Well, if you're motivated, dedicated, wishful, and being the best version of yourself, it's people like Adam who will find the solution for you. Everybody, every story, and every experience is different. So how can they personally help you? Well, welcome to Living Your Life with Lianne Laing, the podcast brought to you by Extension Marketing. And of course, for more information, you can always head to extensionmarketing.com. Adam, so nice to have you in this setting.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think we joked about the fact that we're dressed like normally and not in fitness gear and not gross and sweaty.
This doesn't happen very often. It does not happen at all.
I think your staff mentioned to you as you were leaving the gym this morning to be able to come here. They kind of did a double take.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going?
You don't see me very often not in Lululemon gear.
Yeah.
So. And
I do that because Lululemon seems to be, it is your apparel of choice. I noticed you're an ambassador for them.
Yes, it is. Exactly.
Okay. So you heard the intro. Yep. Are you kind of like shaking your head going, okay, I get this. I get where we're going today.
Yes, it was pretty cool to hear.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm really excited to have you here in this environment. And I think just because from an outsider's perspective, I've watched what you've done from afar, and I've been really impressed that you've been able to do so much in, am I allowed to say a short amount of time? Because you've really built this fitness lab pretty quickly.
So the Fitness Lab has been built in a short period of time, but for me, I mean, I've been doing it since I was 17. Like you said, I started basically just wiping sweat off the floors or people's faces for a couple of years to kind of figure out whether or not I really liked it or what I actually wanted to do. So even though the Fitness Lab is, 3.5 years old, I've been doing this for almost 12 years. And so I kind of see it as the Fitness Lab is 3 years old, but the business, the personal training side of things and what we've kind of built there is, that's really 12, 13 years in the making.
It is. And I think the time that you spent doing all of that is what allowed the Fitness Lab to grow so quickly in the amount of time that it has. But I mean, when you look at you, I mean, we know that there's athleticism. We know that there was an athlete behind all of this. And I think oftentimes there is that interest. It was part of who you were growing up, your childhood, to be active and healthy. And so I'm assuming too, right? This active living, doing sports came very easily and from an early age.
Yeah, and that's what it was. For me, it was, like every kid was to try and play in the NHL. And then
every Canadian hockey boy.
Yes, every Canadian hockey boy. And that was me. And then you kind of find out, not real quick, but myself, it was kind of at 16, 17 years old is when I kind of realized that was it. I still love playing hockey, but I was you have to have some self-awareness to understand that you're probably not going to go that route. And for me, the next closest thing in my head that I could get to doing that was to work with people that are trying to do that. And that's kind of where I started when I was younger. I was fortunate to work at another gym in the area and work with some of these NHL players and kind of see, and like I was telling you before, wiping the sweat off these guys' faces for me at that time at 16, 17 years old was actually very cool because I got to be around the guys that I wanted to be. And then obviously it evolved into going, okay, I actually kind of like this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then obviously I dove deeper into that.
Was it frustrating for you to accept? I mean, there's just so much hard work, dedication. You could be the hardest working player out there. And sometimes genetics, possibilities, positioning, speed. I mean, it sometimes it's just out of your control.
Exactly. And that's what I find for myself. Those that, there's the saying that those that can't do, teach. And for me, it was I couldn't do what I wanted to do was to play in the NHL. So the next closest thing I could do was to teach these guys and train these guys to be able to do their sport better.
It's not just hockey, though. I think what we're seeing, and there's been an evolution of it, I think, over the last 20 plus years, is the acceptance that just the individual sport training is no longer going to do the trick, right? Every athlete is looking for that extra edge, and they're finding that in the training that happens when they're not actually doing their sport.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. And that's where I think a lot of people err on not understanding the idea of sport-specific training, and kind of understanding that sport-specific training doesn't necessarily mean it has to mimic the exact movement pattern of that sport. And what I mean by that is, if you're using like a hockey player, for example, doing a skater's lunge side to side just because you skate does not mean that exercise can't be done in any other sport. And I think what we often get people doing is, I have some athletes that train together. I have some skiers that train in the same group as my hockey players. And where someone else would look at that and going, well, it's two different sports. Why are they doing the same workout? And when you start to look at exercises that you're doing, how do you build lower body strength? Well, you're doing squats, we're doing deadlifts, we're doing lunges, and both sports need that. And that's where I think a lot of people try and reinvent the wheel a little bit too much, and not understanding that, to build lower body strength, whatever sport you're trying to do, whether it be soccer, hockey, football, skiing, it's all very similar. And that's where I think for us, the energy systems is what is the difference. And what I mean by that is I would never take a hockey player and have him run a 5-kilometer run after his workout or for his workout, because it does nothing for him. He's never skating, or he or she, is never skating for 30 minutes straight. They're doing a 45-second shift and then probably sitting down for 2 or 3 minutes, depending on the player. And so those are the energy systems that we train them in. And that's where it differentiates from sport to sport.
Okay, so you can sit there and think in your head, I've got this NHL bound player who needs, quick muscle action, right? They need the quick reflex, they need the quick boost of endurance,
right?
Cardio, and then the ability to recoup quickly enough that they're able to get back out and do another hard 45 seconds.
Right.
And then in that same hour, so you'll have that hour of intense kind of training these skiers, athletes, hockey players. And then the next hour you come in and you've got soccer moms, hockey dads, grandparents, and it's like the rotation comes in and there's a new set of people coming in. And I think that's the beauty of what it is that you're able to do.
Yeah, and for me, it's the fun part. And I often get with my clients that, like you said, I have my regular average Joe 45-year-old male or female, and they often joke with me going, oh, you must hate training me. It's no fun. And for me, to be honest, it's just as much fun because it's different. Whether I'm training a 13-year-old kid that has knee problems at 13 years old, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, if he or she's already got knee problems at 13, what's he going to be like when he's 17? And trying to kind of go back and fix that so that when they do hit 17, they can still walk and do what they want to do. That's fun to me because for those reasons. But then it's also, yes, you get the rave and the rah, rah, rah of the professional athletes, and that's what people see on social media, and it looks cool. Yeah, it's fun. But then again, so is the 45-year-old that I have in the gym that just whether wants to lose 10 or 15 pounds or stop having back pain. And so it allows me to really differentiate, and it also allows me to not get stuck in tunnel vision and only kind of going one way. It forces me to actually think and work and continue doing research and finding out new things to obviously keep everybody in check, not only myself, but also our staff at the gym.
So let's go through that, because I think what I'm hoping the listeners are going to take from this is that there is an opportunity and a difference between every individual that's coming in to the gym, right? They're not, I think, sucked into one big grouping, and you've got a 250-pound man training next to a 105-pound woman and expecting that at all times things are the same, is to realize the individuals and what it is that they're trying to achieve. Like, everyone's coming in with a different goal.
Right. Absolutely. Everyone's coming in with a different goal, and also everyone's coming in with different problems. Like, not only is it different goals, whether, he wants to put on weight and she wants to lose weight. That's the often, like, you get the guys that all want to bulk up and you get the females that all want to trim down as a stereotype. Right. And so it's not always that. It's the person here that's got a shoulder problem that can't lift his or her arm over her head, and it's this person here that's got a knee problem and can't do a squat or walk up the stairs every day without it hurting. And that's where, one, in our facilities, we have a wide variety of different classes for that reason, so that we aren't, even though our gym has a, a generic program that we run through, we have 4 different classes. And the idea is that if you do get someone that's coming in off the streets and says, one, I'm new to exercise, I haven't done anything in 2 years because I got into a bad car accident and my back's been bad and my neck's been bothering me for years and I've never been able to do that. Well, no, I'm not going to throw you into a metabolic conditioning class and say, go for it, because that's the only class we offer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out, okay, this is what you have. So your best bet probably is to start with something like a yobility class, which is an injury prevention, rehab, prehab class. See how that goes. If that feels good, do that for a little bit. Then we transfer you over to our strong and mobile program, which a lot of people think it's a class for older people, but it's not. It's a class for people that have come off something like that do have an injury, where it is we take you through mobility, we do some basic strengthening exercises, and then we end off the class with a little bit of conditioning, but it's no impact conditioning. So if you are someone that does have an injury and can't be bouncing around and jumping around or doing a barbell back squat, you're still going to be doing strengthening exercise, but in a slower manner. And then the next class we have is a strength class, and that's obviously a strength-based class. It's slower paced, but teaching the proper movement patterns and fundamentals to really allow you to get the most out of when you do go to, which is like our Metcon class, which is like the raw circuit training seems to be the new thing that everybody's doing, which is great, and we have that.
But you can't walk in off the street and go do that high intensity raw class, which sometimes people are thinking, okay, I'm gonna go kill myself.
Right.
And then the next thing is there's injury, they're not motivated, they can't seem to get through it, they're lost, they're not doing the proper technique.
Right.
And then that's the one thing that drives me nuts, is that I see people who come in really motivated, and then a couple weeks, couple months later, they're sitting on the chair again because something just didn't go right.
It happens all the time. It's everybody goes 0 to 100. They either watch a cool video or see something on social media, which is great because it's motivated them, or their friends telling them about something and they're like, great, they haven't worked out in 2 years. And then they go in and they do their first Metcon class on Monday, and they come back on Tuesday, they come back on Wednesday, they come back on Thursday, and then Friday they can't move for 5 days, and then they try it again next week, and then they've pulled their hamstring, torn their shoulder, done something like that, and now they're back on bed rest for another month and a half, and then they've lost it, and then you've lost them. And so that's why I think, the approach that we take is, yes, we have that class because that is a class and it is a good class for everybody, but it's a good class for the people that can do that class. And that's why when people come in off the streets, we ask the questions, we figure out, what's your situation? Do you have injuries? What are you actually looking for? When's the last time you exercised? And then from there, we can kind of guide you into a class that we think would work best for you. And then you can build off it. So if it's somebody new off the streets, we're going to say, okay, start at the lowest class, which would be, the lowest class, aka the least amount of impact, which would be like our yobility. See how that feels. If it feels great, try strong and mobile. See how that feels. If it feels great, try strength. And then once you've tried that, then it's like, okay, now you can go to the Metcon. And then you can decide, you've gone from step 1, 2, 3 to 4, where you're best suited. And also based off what your goals are.
Why do you think there's been such a growth of personal training? Like, why? I look at it sometimes like people they need a coach, right? We're
right.
coached and taught in every aspect of our life, and yet we go into a situation or an environment we're not that familiar with. And I see it all the time at the gym. I want to go up to these people and give them a hug and be like, it's going to be okay.
Right.
But people come in thinking that they're going to be able to just figure it out. Like, they're going to walk into a gym and they're just going to be able to figure it out, and it's frustrating and they're intimidated.
Yeah.
And so, you want to be able to give them the right information.
Yeah. And it is. And it's the personal training world obviously is growing tenfold all the time. And it's obviously because fitness and health has become such a bigger thing, and it's more noticed now, whether it be because of social media. I feel like everyone on social media is really pumping it, it's a great thing to pump. But that being said, a lot of people see this stuff and they get motivated, and then they go to a gym to go do these things, which is great that they're taking that first step. But oftentimes, like I was telling you before, is whether you go to a class that, you probably have no business going to yet, or you try and do your own thing that you're really not sure what you're doing. And then you end up hurting yourself. And then you were once very excited, and now you've gone back to sitting down, and then you've lost complete motivation.
How often have you had clients come in who've been trying it and doing it on their own, and then they come in and show you the exercises that they've been doing and are doing it completely wrong?
Well, it happens all the time. And the crazier part is that it's not even necessarily always the people that have no idea what they're doing. A lot of it is the people that think they know
what they're
everything
doing.
about what they're doing. And then they come in, and it's, for us, it's eye-opening, but it's also to understand that I'm going, if this person that really knows or thinks they know what they're doing, that isn't a trainer, and that's fine. It's great to help other people. But that person's probably taking another 10 of their friends that know nothing and showing them how to do what they're doing, which is incorrect. And that's where we get people all the time. We get people, whether it be, and not to say our gym is perfect because it's not, but from other places, whether it be other gyms or just that have just worked out on their own, and they come in and it's not always a huge problem, but it's a minor tweak. And even like we talked about in our session when we were doing those lunges, it's something that you're someone that knows what they're doing, right? And I just tweaked you so slightly, but it changes the exercise completely. And I think that would be the bigger thing that we see with people, is just whether it be foot placement.
Right. And that's, I think, for people to see results. They could be doing the same exercise all the time and thinking that they're doing it correctly, which I thought, and if people check out the Instagram, we talk about this. I'm doing a basic lunge, and because I have more flexibility, right? I was using my flexibility in doing this, but you stopped that flexibility and you put me in a different position. And then I could feel like, well, that's actually going to target the muscle that I'm trying to shape.
Right.
So it was encouraging, if you're able to have that open mindset.
Right. And that's the harder part. It's oftentimes harder. I mean, because you get it. But oftentimes the people that think they get it are the hardest ones to work with. Whereas I'd rather have someone walk in there and be like, I know nothing about anything. Please just like teach me everything. And all I want to do is listen. And that's ideal. And that's why often, like for me, I find with my clientele, I've always said it, I find females are the best to train in the sense of they listen, and they're generally intimidated by weights. And because of the whole thing that most female get that idea of like weights are going to bulk me up. So they've never wanted to touch them. And then all of a sudden they start working out and they start touching weights, and all of a sudden their body starts changing and they really start liking it. But they come in with an open mind of going like, I'm terrified of a barbell. I'm terrified of a dumbbell. I'm terrified of anything that has weight incorporated in it. And so for me, it's great off the start because I can go clean slate. I have their full attention. And then from there, we start at zero and you build the block step by step by step instead of having to break somebody down, get rid of a problem first, and then restart it.
Okay, so let's talk about women.
Yeah.
Let's talk about women, myths, fears, and what most of us have difficulty with. You mentioned, right, that if we lift weights, we're going to get bulky. But I think, and maybe it's my demographic now, but a lot of us are dealing with post-baby.
Yep.
Stomachs, skin.
For sure.
Things have shifted.
Yeah.
And so what do you say to these women, or how do you re-inspire them that they're going to be able to get back and feel really good?
Well, it's for me.
What should they be doing?
For me, it's honestly, it's strength training. It's not to say that's the end all be all, because that's not. It's a combination of everything.
And what do you mean by strength training?
And it's not always lifting weights. It's resistance training, whether it be using banded stuff. But a lot of the new thing, and I find a lot of, I say the female world is they just want to do more cardio, more cardio, more cardio, more cardio. And we would get it all the time. Previous years when I was a trainer, it was all, we just only did circuit training. Everything was circuit training. And no one wanted to touch any weights in the class, which is fine, because they just wanted more cardio and that. And then what would happen? Because
they thought what was the thinking? Cardio is just, it's going to burn the calories and they're going to lose the weight.
It's going to burn the calories, they're going to lose the weight, and then the muscle that they don't have underneath it somehow is going to show. And their body's going to look perfect. And then what would happen was that we'd get all these people that would lose the weight, which is awesome because that's what they came there for. And then when they lost the weight, they're like, okay, but it still doesn't look the way I want it to. And so what would happen was eventually they'd be like, hey, I want to do some personal training. So it was great for me at the start, right? Because then they would come in, they would do personal training. And then personal training, all I would do is like, great, you're going to do circuit training 3 or 4 days a week like you already do. And then we're going to substitute your off days and we're going to be doing strength training. And then all of a sudden they start doing strength training and all of a sudden their body starts changing. Like, oh my God, I have a butt now. I've never had a butt before. And my arms look great. Now my stomach's actually toned. And so for me, they thought I was a wizard. But really at the end of the day, all we were doing was just strength training. And then that's why when we opened up the fitness lab, there was very few when we opened gyms that did strength training. A lot of it was just circuits. Everywhere was a circuit, right? And so it was so hard to convince people. Guys, it wasn't hard to. Guys guys didn't want to do circuits. It was great, actually. It actually brought in a lot more guys to our gym because they were like, sweet, I don't have to just do cardio. I can just lift weights. So it worked on both sides. The females came in and we had the Metcon class, which originally was like the hook to get them in. And once they got in, you kind of had to like drag them to try a strength class. And then all of a sudden they tried it and they're like, it's okay. It's kind of a slower pace. But then after a month or 2 months, all of a sudden they start to go, oh my God, I've got a butt. This is great. This is awesome. This gym's amazing.
So by a slower pace, you mean, because some people are very used to just a go, rah.
Right.
Every 45 seconds, you're switching to a different step up or cardio-based exercise.
Right.
So when they say, well, this is great, but it's slowed down.
Yes.
What do you mean by it's slowed down?
It's slowed down in the sense of, so how our classes run is that we keep you for our strength class. You stay at that station for the first 4 main lifts. And I'm not going to explain the whole class because it would be confusing. But the idea is that it allows you to actually stay at a station, take some rest, increase the weight, do another set. And so for something like if we did, an example would be squats, you would stay there and you have your own squat rack and you do a set of squats. And
so in a group setting, I would have my own squat rack.
Yeah, you have your own rack. And that's why we have a lot of equipment at our gym for that reason. So it actually allows you to not feel rushed that you got to move because someone else is coming in behind you. You have your own rack, you set up the weight you want, you do your 8 repetitions or whatever rep you choose. And then once you've done that, you take a little break, and we encourage everyone you should be taking, like, in a perfect world, that would have you take more rest. But I mean, people, unfortunately,
don't have time.
The class would take 2 hours if we did it properly. But then you take the rest and you add some more weight, and you go from 100 pounds. The next set you try 110, and then maybe the next set after that you try 115. So you need to actually have the rest to allow you to actually lift more weight. And that's the error I think a lot of people make, is they think they're doing strength training, but they're just doing a strength-based exercise. Like if you did something like a squat in a circuit setting, but you're not grabbing any weight, you're just doing lots of reps, which isn't bad. It's not a bad thing, but you're never going to actually build any strength that way.
Okay, but I'm sure that you have women that, as you're adding 5 pounds on every time they're doing something, are hitting the panic button.
Oh, yeah.
Going, I don't want to bulk up.
Every single time, until finally they give it enough time to buy in on it. And that's when you actually start going, okay, I get it. And it's for me, it's so hard to hammer that in people's heads. But then all of a sudden, if you give it that month or 2 months of doing it, and then you see the change. Once you see the change, then you've bought in.
Why is that happening? So can you take us through so women understand when they are adding weight and they are building muscle?
Right.
What's happening?
Well, for them, when they're building muscle, one, obviously you're creating more muscle in your body, but that's what makes you tight. And like we were talking before, you hear it all the time of people going, I just want to tighten this up. I want to tighten this up. I want to tighten this up. But yet you still continue to do more conditioning and more cardio, which isn't tightening you up at all. It's losing the weight, but you're not creating any of that. And that's where you get a lot of like, to be honest, I could pretty much regurgitate every answer I've ever gotten from a female that's come into the gym.
Because someone's having on a run right now listening to this podcast. And what are you?
Well, it is. It's every time I come in, I'm like, okay, so what are you looking for?
This podcast is brought to you by Extension Marketing. They are a new breed of marketing agency that acts as your virtual marketing department, designing and implementing cost-effective marketing strategies that will grow your business. I can speak to this personally, as I've been using the Extension Marketing team to help me launch and grow my business. Founder Pat Whalen has been a lifesaver for me, a genuine coach guiding me along the way into uncharted territory. Tell them you're a friend of the show and receive a free 1-hour consultation. Check them out at extensionmarketing.com.
They're like, well, I really want to tighten up my bum. That would be great. I want to get a butt. And if I could just get rid of the stuff just on the back of my arms here, if I could tighten those up too, because they're a little bit loose. And then also just my stomach, just a little bit on my stomach. If I could get that going, that's really what I want. And so I'm like, okay, so you want to get a nice butt, you want to get some triceps, or you want to tighten up the back of the arms, and you want to have a flat stomach. And they're like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, of course. So does every other female that's ever come into this gym. And so then that's not wrong, but it's just, that's the answer that you want. And so it then becomes, well, what have you been doing? Well, I run, 3-4 times a week, and haven't really seen any change. I lost a lot of weight, but I still kind of have this. And I'm going, well, yeah, you're just running. You need to add the strength training. And that's why for me, that's like all of my clients. I've had most of my clients for 5 years plus. And all we do is strength training. Like I don't do conditioning or cardio with my clients. I do some conditioning at the end of the workouts, which is like a grand total of 6 to 8 minutes. And it's short spurts But other than that, I tell them, yeah, go do the metabolic conditioning classes on your off days. But when you're with me, we're just lifting heavy.
Okay. So I'm going to point this out because as we're talking about it, right? So you're going to have women come in and, they want to be able to wave and not have this, the skin, waving with them.
Yeah.
But a lot of us are dealing with skin, like changes because of having children, right? Like there's some that are really lucky and who kind of got right back into it, but you have like really stretched skin, and so you can have muscles or you can have an undertone, but you've got saggy skin, or you're doing all of this stuff, but you can do all the right exercises and you can do all the right strength training, but if they're going home and then going and having that late night ice cream or anything else, like it doesn't, like you can fix as much as you want, at the gym. And so, and I know that nutrition, like there's got to be a mention of that, that not all of this is going to happen without that.
For sure. And that's what, for me, and I mean, we've talked about this before, I don't care how people eat, in the sense of, not that I don't think it's important, it's extremely important, it's the most important thing you can do. But my thing is that that's on you. You're fully in control of that yourself. I'm not the one that's coming to your house at 10 p.m. at night and taking the bag of chips out of your hand or the bowl of ice cream away from you. Like, that's on you. My job as a trainer is when you're in there with me and guiding you that way. But it's and we chatted before about, what is the best version of you and what do you want to feel like, and when have you felt your best? And the thing with everybody is, people always say, oh, you don't need to work out. Why do you work out? It's like, well, obviously I have to work out if this is the way I want to look. And so with clients of mine, I've had many clients that have come in and said, look, I just want to let you know, I just want to work out with you because I want to do it to be healthier and I want to get stronger and for my joints and for my muscles and all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to give up my chicken wings after Friday night hockey. And every Sunday I play golf and I like to have beers with the guys after. And whether it be the ladies, we have a girls' night every Tuesday night and we have wine and we have all these things. And that's fine too. That's fine. But that's fine if you don't plan on losing any weight or any body fat. And if you really want to get that toned stomach and that tightened up bump. So it's really up to you how you want to go about that.
But would you be training an individual knowing, listen, you might have some individuals coming in saying, I want to be able to run a marathon.
Right.
And you have some individuals that will come in and say, I think I want to do a fitness competition.
Yep.
So you can do as much as you are doing in the gym, but for both of those are going to require a certain type of diet. So will you work with nutritionists or with trainers or with your clients so that they're getting the best information, so that well, the nutritionist is telling them to eat this, which means on this day they can't do the hardcore workout, or we can't do the cardio because we need them to have some carbohydrates. Like that, there's almost like information flowing between people who are trying to get that individual their goal.
Yes, and so there's people that I have clients of mine that just have their own nutritionist, and I've reached out and worked with them and said, okay, this is what she's doing. On Monday, she's doing this. On Tuesday, she's eating this. So this is a high carb day. This is a low carb day. So I suggest on this day, you can do more cardio stuff with her at the end. And then on this day, I don't want her doing any, so she can just do strength training on this day. And so we go back and forth that way, because obviously that is what makes the biggest difference. And I have a client that I've been working with for probably 7 years, and she, last year she went and she wanted to do a bodybuilding competition, and she asked me to train her, and I said, yeah, no problem. But I know nothing about the nutrition side of things, and that's not my scope.
For a bodybuilder,
let alone a regular person, right? And so she had her own coach, and she had her own nutritional coach, and that she worked with, and that I also worked with hand in hand, and that's exactly what happened. And for me, it was the same. I had worked with this person for years, and she hadn't really seen. She'd seen some pretty good results, but it was always a struggle. And then all of a sudden she did this and really got her eating under control. And just like that, she looked amazing. The best I've ever seen her ever.
Well, you had sculpted the muscle underneath.
Right.
But there had been the need for the nutrition to come in to take care of the rest.
Yes.
You mentioned the boys that are coming in and wanting their wings on Fridays and their beers like golfing on Sunday. But often you see, and the age and as people are getting older, but that beer belly, where most men are carrying so much of their weight is in the midsection.
Right.
Why is that dangerous? And how do you start to break it down? Because sometimes it's like rock
It is
solid
rock hard.
hard.
Yeah.
It's like, how does this happen?
And a lot of it is from like, I hear it all the time from my buddies as well. I mean, I'm 29, so a lot of the guys are starting to get to that age where like metabolism isn't on your side anymore and you're not as active as you used to be. And you're not playing hockey 6 days a week like we used to. So it's all starting to catch up. And I get all the time, I get messages all the time from my friends or other guys at the gym being like, hey, yo, I need a good ab program because my stomach is out of control right now. So I need a bunch of good core exercise. Can you send me like 5, please? And I like to do that. I'm going to do it every day. And what you don't get is that the muscle is sitting underneath the fat. So if you put on more muscle, all it does is it just makes your stomach bigger. And so that's the error that I find a lot of people are making. And I see it, a lot of guys that still work out and they still have great arms. They still got great muscles everywhere, but then they have this stomach, right? That is just, like you said, it's rock hard. And a lot of it, they have the muscle underneath it, but it's just the fat sitting over top of it.
How does the fat get so hard?
Well, for us, like for me, I think it's just years and years of buildup of crap. But at the end of the day, it's these guys are still active.
Okay, yeah, because it's not like a soft belly.
Right.
Like I'm sorry, like I'm gonna,
and it's like it's the beer bellies.
I've been on the beat, like we got on vacations with family and friends, and it's like how is it?
It's
like
a rock.
It's round and a ball, but it's solid. It's not like it's loose. There's these hard bellies.
And for me, honestly, I don't know exactly where that's coming from, but it is. I know. I mean, when I was playing hockey growing up, we had the hockey dads.
So it's just constant. It's years.
It's stress. It's whatever's going on in there. Like I said, I don't know enough.
Can you break it down then? So you're saying, so for these men out there and listening and who have these, like the beer bellies, right? Mm-hmm. More abs isn't going to fix that.
No.
So what's your suggestion?
Eating less beers, less of the crap food. Obviously that stuff causes problems in your system. I think it's years of eating like crap. And generally speaking, the same guys that have the beer bellies, it's called a beer belly for a reason. But generally speaking, the guys that are drinking beers all the time are probably the same guys that are having the chicken wings and having the nachos, and those are your meals. You're really not putting anything good in your body. So I think just all the hormones, like I said, I don't know enough about that stuff, but going on in there, I think that's where it all comes from and all stems from. And is there a way to get rid of that? Yeah, for sure.
So you see a gentleman walk in with the big beer belly. Mm-hmm. Where are you assigning them?
Nutritionist. Like, don't even worry about me. Spend your money over there. Like, come back to me once you get rid of this, because otherwise we're just going to either make this thing bigger, or we're not going anywhere with it.
Okay. So they've taken that first step.
Yep.
Then what do you do when they get into the gym?
For us, it's breaking down like, what are you willing to do? Like, are you willing to stop eating this? Are you going to stop drinking this? And if you're not, I mean, that's fine. It's not like I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, I'm not going to train you. That's no problem. Because at the end of the day, doing the strength training, getting your heart rate elevated is still going to be good for you. It's going to be better than not doing anything at all. But it just allows myself as a trainer, or also our other staff members, to totally understand what you're willing to give me. So that I know how to train you or how hard to push you. That if it's for me that every Friday I have to do a weigh-in, and because that's what if your goal is to lose weight, well then yeah, I'm probably going to weigh you, whether it be once a month or depending on what we decide as a schedule. Normally I don't like to do once a week, because then what happens is you stress so much. If you have one bag of chips on Tuesday night, you stress so much because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get weighed in 3 days and I'm going to be ruined. Whereas at least if you do it, I like to do once a month if weight loss is a goal of yours, because it allows you to have a hiccup, but understand that, okay, I've still got 3 weeks to fix it. I'm going to be okay. Or otherwise you just beat yourself up about it.
Are you able to do this with clients where weight loss isn't an aspect that they're like, I want to get weighed in, because really you're going to notice and feel the difference no matter what? Like, I don't own a scale, and I can't tell you the last time I got on a scale.
Yeah.
I can tell you like every morning or every night, exactly what's happening with my body, but I have no desire to know a number on the scale based on people will feel it.
Right.
They'll know it.
And that's the best way to do it. And that's for us, like, we don't do that. We have a scale in our gym. If you try and find it, it's hidden underneath one of our shelving units, because I don't see that as something that is the most important thing to be at the gym for. And
what
also,
is the most important thing for you then?
And for me, I think it's overall health, like getting active, moving, doing stuff, whether it be like for your joints, actually just taking your body through ranges of motion that you don't go through every day and keeping those healthy. Because I think more so now than ever, fitness has become fitness and health has become such so kind of catered around overall balance. And I know with a lot of events that I've been doing in the past, before it was at the gym, when you signed up for a gym, the first thing you did was you stepped on a scale, you did your body fat, and you got a nutritional plan given to you, and it was like, go. Now it's more so like, what are you here for? What are you looking for? If you want to lose weight, yeah, we can do that. Or if you just want to start moving and getting yourself active enough and have enough energy to play with your kids, then let's do that too. So I think there is no right answer. What is fitness for? It's depending on what's going to make you happy in your life.
So you can have the parent that wants to play, and then you can have the grandparent that wants to be able to play on the floor with their grandkids.
Yeah.
So what are some key movement, mobility, agility things that you want that every person, every adult should be doing to maintain movement in their joints?
Yeah.
Like, are there certain things that you are like, these are like a top 5 things you should be doing to keep your body like, well oiled?
Well, it's the standard kind of everything. You're either coming in with knee pain, back pain, or shoulder pain. Like those are the big 3. And that's why for us, like the mobility class that we do, that's why it exists. If you look in that class, like we have anywhere from professional hockey players in that class to my 84-year-old aunt that's in that class. The professional hockey player is in there for the reasons of he plays hockey for a living, which is obviously very hard on his body, hard on his joints. His muscles are very tight because he overworks them all year, skating all day, every day, and playing. So his thing is just more from an injury prevention, rehab, prehab side of things. Whereas my 84-year-old aunt is just to try and live longer and feel as good as she possibly can while she's doing that. And so for her, it's to be able to walk every day up the stairs and feel pain-free. She also takes part in our strong and mobile classes, so she's doing strength training as well. But it is a perfect hand in hand with that. And so that's for her what she's trying to do. She's not there asking me how to get rid of the jiggle in the back of her arms or tighten up her stomach. She just wants to be able to continue to walk her 3K to the gym, there and back every day, walk to the grocery store to pick up her groceries, and be
carry
there.
The groceries.
And carry the groceries, like, right?
I love this.
Yeah.
And so you've got an 84-year-old aunt that's in there and doing it. And so what do you say to the 65-year-old woman who hasn't been to the gym since, for 30 years and hopefully still has another 30 ahead of her?
Right. It's for me.
Can they start, like, do you want to see that person coming in saying,
of course.
Okay.
And it's never like the cliche answer is, it's never too late.
Right.
But in a perfect world, yeah, like, this has been, you need to make it a lifestyle. And that's why I try and hammer it into people's heads so much that like our facility isn't about the, young guy with the 6-pack and the young girl with the nice butt that they do these crazy intense workouts where you sweat like crazy and you just get killed to the point where you feel like you want to puke. No, like that's a thing for those people if that's what they want to do. But it is also for the person that just honestly hasn't ever worked out in their life. And now all of a sudden, whatever age that's at, some people it's 30, some people it's 60, that it takes for them to start having knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, can't sleep at night anymore, can't play with their kids. They can't do any of these things. And it's like, well, if you ever want to do that, it's like, it's not something that you're stuck with. It's not like a life sentence that you have no energy because you haven't been active. Like, go out and do something and figure out a class that works for you, because we have all these options that give you stepping stones to be able to get to the point where you want to be.
Can someone be strong and not look strong, or can someone look like they are strong?
Yeah, and happens all the time.
Quite weak.
Happens all the time, and that's why so our business is based off 3 principles, and so I get the question all the time of like, what's the little green 3 in the top corner of your logo for? And I mean, it's for a bunch of things, but the big thing for us is it's the 3 fundamentals of fitness, in my opinion. And so it's strength, conditioning, and mobility. And so if you are missing one of those links, in my opinion, you are not physically fit. And what I'm getting at is that you need to have, you need to have strength because you need to be strong enough. And you need to have that actual strength to be able to go through and do your everyday life, whether it's picking up the groceries for some people, or whether it's swinging a golf club under control and not being able to over rotate and throw your back out. And then the conditioning aspect is like, you need to have some sort of endurance for your lungs and for your heart, to feel good and to live longer and to give you that energy. And then if you're missing mobility, obviously that's where you get the people that are like, okay, great, I'm really strong and I can run a marathon, but every time I finish it, my knee locks up, my shoulders tighten, I can't sleep at night because everything just hurts, right? And so that's why we made our facility the way we made our facility, where we have a strength class, which covers the strength component. We have a metabolic conditioning class, which covers the conditioning component. And then we have the mobility class, which covers the mobility aspect. And that's why we have it in that order, to say to everybody, like, it's not just enough to be, I'm going to say for the females, to be really conditioned and be able to run a marathon. You need to be strong to, or eventually you're going to break down. And you need to work on your mobility. You need to stretch. And it's not enough for the guys to just be like, okay, sweet, that's great. You can bench a lot of weight, but you can't touch your toes and you can't jog on the spot for 30 seconds without feeling like you're going to collapse. Like, you need to hit all those aspects. And does that mean, okay, great, I have to do this all day, every day? How am I ever going to be able to get those? No, but it's like, the way our facility is laid out is like, if you were to come in, it would be on Monday, you come in and you do your Metcon class. Okay, good. You got your conditioning. And on Tuesday, you're going to come in and do a strength class. Great. Awesome. On Wednesday, you come in and do your mobility class. And then Thursday, you go to another strength.
Okay, right now you just panicked every single person who's not used to working out every day or
right.
a couple days, right? Because they're going, what? I got to be in there more.
But it's
Monday
building,
and then Tuesday.
Right. But it's building blocks. And that's where I would say something starts with, like, when you first come in, it's like, you might only do your ability. It happens all the time. I've told people that are new to exercise, do your ability for a month, get comfortable with it. Then once you're comfortable with it, now let's try 2 abilities and add 1 strong and mobile. Now you're comfortable. Now let's add 2 strong and mobile. Perfect. Now let's do 2 abilities, 1 strong and mobile, and 1 strength class, right? Or it just becomes, maybe if it's 3 days a week, and that's where I go back to saying, like, what are you willing to give me? So if you're telling me you're going to give me 5 days a week, well, perfect. I'm going to build a plan for 5 days a week. But if you're telling me, to be honest, I only have time for 2 days a week or 3 days a week, we build your own personalized program, essentially, within our generic program, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to build the needs of that individual, what they're able to give you, and then combine it with the best.
Exactly.
The combination of the classes that are actually going to work.
Exactly.
I kind of got that.
Yeah.
I definitely got that.
Yeah.
One of the videos that I saw that you have was, it was interesting because it was for goalie. There was like a goalie training. Mm-hmm. But the comparison between flexibility, was it agility or?
Flexibility and mobility.
Mobility,
what the difference is.
So, what is the difference? Because you'll have someone say, oh, I'm really flexible, or I'm agile, or I'm strong. But you showed an example even of where you can stretch to and where you can hold it. So what's your take on that? So,
like, the equation really is flexibility plus strength equals mobility, right? And so really to break that down, what that means is, and we see it, like, for example, you, right? You're a gymnast, so you're super flexible, right?
I was.
Right.
These days, I can't even.
But you're also, with your sport, you're also very strong.
Yes.
Right? And so what we get a lot of is you get like a yogi, for example. Let's use a yogi. And I love yoga, so this is not a knock on yoga, because I love yoga. I do it myself. We get the yogi that comes in and is super flexible, but then comes to do a squat. And so from the outside, you would look at it and be like, oh my God, he or she is going to be so amazing at this because they're so flexible. Look how low they can squat and look at the range of motion that they can get into. But when they get into the bottom of that squat, all of a sudden their knees collapse and their hips are killing them, and then it kills their back. Right. And so someone looks at that and is like, well, why is she having pain? He or she having pain. And the difference is that they're super flexible, but they don't have any strength. And so
they
then
don't have the strength to get back up.
So what happens, it happens all the time. You see it all the time. Someone squats, their knees collapse because their hips are weak. That's why the knees are collapsing. And then all of a sudden the pain goes through your back, because when the hips are weak, generally speaking, something else has to take over, and then your back starts doing the work, and then you're getting the back pain from it. Right. And so that's something where we go, okay, stop so much with the flexibility. You're already super flexible. You don't need any more of that. You need to do more of the strength training. And then on the reverse side of things, it's the guy that squats 2 inches and goes, oh my God, that kills my lower back, because he has no flexibility. He's got too much strength, but not enough flexibility. So both of them equally as bad. But you also, that's where I say like the self-awareness thing, you have to be self-aware and understand that like lifting more weights for you, the guy that can't touch his toes or squat more than 2 inches, maybe like stop going 5 days a week to strength class and just do like 3 days of strength class and hit the mobility class twice a week. Whereas the other person that's just doing, say, yoga 4 or 5 days a week and loves it, which is cool too, but like you're really good at that and that's awesome, but like start mixing in some strength training. And it also goes back to now, I think that the new school way of doing it, and a lot of the yoga instructors that I know, they're all doing strength training because they understand the principles of both.
But they used to not.
They used to not.
Right? Like, it was like it was almost like you were decisive. You were like an all yoga.
Yeah.
I feel I get a little bit of that with people that are all the like Soul Cycle, like the cycling, right?
Same community.
Like it's very similar, right?
Yeah.
It's like all or nothing. And so, and the one thing, and I'm going to point this out, I'm going to ask you, because the one thing I've noticed, or I don't know where I learned this from, but a lot of people who cycle and who do long cycle rides or who do these cycling classes tend to have a not strong midsection.
Right.
Where I find a lot of them think that because they're doing heavy cardio, but they have a gut.
Yes.
And so they're like, they're doing all of these and they're doing these high cardios, but a lot of people who cycle and only cycle, they're heavier in the midsection.
Right. And I think that's where, it's the same kind of thing. We have a couple of members at our gym that own spin studios, and they are super fit. So not only can they cycle like crazy, but they come and do our strength classes because they understand, like they get it. They understand that, okay, this is a purely basically cardio workout is what I'm doing. And there's not a lot of core involved. Yes, there's a certain extent that, yes, you're on a bike and you're working some balance and stability that way, but they understand the value of like, yeah, no, I don't just, people maybe have the misconception that all I do is bike and that's how my arms look this great. Like it's pretty obvious, like that's not what he or she just does. So they do the strength training, and that's not to say like, don't go biking and that cycling's bad, because it's not, it's great. It's an awesome workout, but like have your balance and understand, go back to those 3 fundamentals of fitness and figure out like you're hammering the conditioning side of it, but you're probably lacking being in a bike all day. Your hip flexors are probably extremely tight. So you're probably lacking a little bit on the mobility side of things, and also for sure the upper body strength. And so that's where you need to understand, like, how can I make myself more balanced as an all-around individual?
Okay. I'm going to have you understand too in all of this that a lot of the times people can't afford to do what it is and to come to these 5 classes. And I mean, it sounds amazing. And a lot of people are going, oh my God, I would love to be able to do that. But a lot of people financially can't.
For sure.
So how important is it for them to be able to take, like, I know you post ideas and workouts and tips, to be able to take some of these things and be able to do this. And some people are just working out of their home with like a couple pieces of equipment and a little bit of weight. What do you suggest? Like, how can they take a certain mentality and certain knowledge and be able to create something that's going to be beneficial for them with minimal equipment or coaching or anything? But they have the desire to do it.
Right. And like social media now is so good. Like Instagram is essentially like a fitness platform, really. Like, I mean, it's my feed, but my whole feed is.
I know, that's the funny thing, because you and I have very similar feeds, so I feel like that's all that I get. But if I asked a person who's not following all of these fitness people, they're like, oh, I never see this stuff.
Right. But it's now there's so much free content out there of like, do this workout. Here's a workout with one piece of equipment. Here's a bodyweight work. Go on YouTube, type in bodyweight workout, and you're going to get something. And I think that it goes back to, okay, like, yeah, that's a good start, and like do it if that's what you can, that's all you can do, and that's great. But it becomes like, make sure you're doing it and you're doing it well. And that's where, as not a sales pitch, but as a personal trainer, just going like, I've had people all the time that are like, hey, I can't afford personal training. And maybe I can't even afford to work out and do the classes here, which is totally cool. But what I can do is I really want to do 3 sessions with you. And I just want you to make sure that I'm doing stuff right. So now when I go and log on to YouTube and I find this Instagram page that's got free workouts and it's really awesome, and I follow it and do them every week, I can make sure at least that hopefully in those 3 sessions, you can correct a bunch of stuff, the basics, squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull, that I'm doing, and make sure I'm doing those right, so that I'm actually going to get a lot out of these workouts. And I have another person that I train. He comes with me once a month. He just comes once a month. I send him home with a workout, and he does it at his local gym. And he does this program that I've made sure it has all the right equipment for him. It's a very basic one. So we do like 1 dumbbell in a bench, And his whole program is based off that. And then every month he comes in, I do a checkup, I do like a tune up on him, make sure everything's good for the next program. And then the next movement patterns that we're going to use in that program, we do them in that one session with him. And then I send him on his way. And so in my head, there's always a way to do it. It's just finding out what you can either afford to do or what you can give, but it's always beneficial to be like, hey, if I can just get some guidance, it's going to save me a whole lot more, because if you try and do it on your own improperly, the physio bill is going to cost you just as much, if not more.
So say people don't have the hour. I mean, your classes are usually about an hour.
Yep.
So say someone is able to confidently say, I can't quite get to the hour right now, but I'm committed. I've got 20 minutes. Okay? So I've got 20 minutes. I can't get to the gym, so I've got 20 minutes I'm going to try to do at home.
Yep. Pick 6 exercises, do 2 circuits of 3 exercises, and try and do it 3 times each. What I often do too is I'll pick, like, when I do my conditioning, because I hate doing conditioning because I suck at it, but I still do it. I usually, like, on days where I'm cut for time, I put a 30-minute timer and I just count it down from 30 minutes, and I'll pick 5 exercises and I'll just go through them as many times as I can in 30 minutes. So now you got your window.
So are you doing what? You're doing a push-up? Like what?
So,
let me know what would those 5 exercises
So what would I do? What would I do
Yes.
if I was to pick 5 exercises? I would do 2 lower body exercises. If I was body weight, let's say it was body weight, I had no equipment at all, I would do 15 squats. After my 15 squats, I would go to the floor and I would do 15 push-ups. Then I would stand back up and I would do 15 lunges. And then I would grab, for me, if I had like a monkey bars around, I would do 15 chin-ups, and then I would do a core drill. So I would do 2 lower body exercises, a push, which would be my push-up, a pull, which would be my pull-up, and then I would do something like a plank. And then that would be my workout. I would go through that as many times as I could in 30 minutes. So I'm getting a good full body exercises. I'm getting lower body strength, upper body strength, and as well I'm getting a core drill.
Okay. That works.
Yeah.
Then after you do that, you start doing jump squats.
Right. And then
jump lunges.
Yeah. Split lunges and whatever the case
so
is.
I think what people don't realize is just how easy it is to eventually build up on all of those things.
It is.
Looking at the time and kind of wanting to get a couple of things, I first came across you. Well, I had known about this because the industry that I was in and knowing, but I love the fact that you have this program for kids.
Yeah.
And Jamie, like she was in there 3 days a week, like loved it.
Yeah.
Like felt like $1 million. Why was it important for you to create a program that wasn't like a babysitting program for kids while the parents were getting a workout, but like was actually designed for youth that were active and wanted to build up on their sports?
For the sole reason I get so many clients that are, 16, 17 years old, and want to start working out, whether it be for their sport or just like they feel like at 16 you're allowed to start working out. And that all came in with terrible knees, terrible shoulders, and chronic back pain, and you're 16 years old. And some of them that are super athletic, that play high level sports, whether it be hockey, whatever the case is, are coming in here, and I'm watching them lunge, squat, deadlift, and they're telling me that they've been working out for 3 or 4 years. And then I watch them and I'm going, oh my God, this is why you have knee pain and you got back pain and you got shoulder pain. And all of their movement patterns are so incorrect. And so what happens is that started at such a young age where they started squatting with weak hips and their knees were collapsing, and they started doing push-up with internally rotated shoulders, so bad push-ups. And then over time, it's just a wear and tear. They've been doing that for 3 or 4 years so incorrectly, and no wonder your knees are gone. And so the reason I put this program together and kept it to small numbers, and we charge a lot for it, for the sole purpose of we only hold 16 kids in there. We have 2 trainers in there, so that there's actually quality control. And really our goals for that program is, yes, we work in speed, agility, strengthening, but more than anything, it's teaching the proper movement fundamentals so that as they do get older and they do start maybe lifting heavier weights, they've already got that instilled in their head. And so that we don't run into that problem where you're 17 and you need a knee replacement.
One of Andy's teammates she plays soccer with was in the program, and I could actually see over the course of the couple of months how much stronger she appeared on the field. And I mean, I knew she was doing this conditioning,
right,
but I could actually see the strength, and it was wonderful to see. So that, and I hope that she felt like the hard work she was doing in the gym was paying off on the field.
Yes, for sure.
Amazing.
And it is, and it's huge, especially at that age. Am I going to make you, at that age, we're not looking for you to be like, okay, at the start of the summer, you squatted a 5-pound dumbbell and we got you up to a 70-pound dumbbell. No, the idea is that you're strengthening the smaller muscle groups, and you're going to start to see at that age that I always say they're all like spaghetti. Like everything, their joints, their limbs are everywhere because they have no muscle to them. They have no stability and they have no core strength. And so that's what our program is. So whether it be like playing soccer, are you going to boot the ball 20 times harder? No. But what you are probably going to do is you're probably going to stop and start a little bit faster than everybody else. So when you are running for that ball, you'll be able to stop and you'll be able to accelerate a lot faster because you do have those fundamentals, but you've also created some strength, especially around the hips at such a young age. And that is going to make a huge difference. We do their testing on them, but we do the testing. We do like broad jumps and we do vertical jumps and we do core tests. That's what their assessment is based off, as well as mobility and a couple other things. But we're not testing at 13 years old, their 1 rep max bench press or their 1 rep max deadlift. We're not doing those things, but we are in the program teaching those movement patterns, not with a loaded bar of 300 pounds, but teaching them how to hinge at their hips and teaching them how to squat with control and teaching them how to do a push-up using not just the front of your shoulders, but more so the shoulder blades. And that's what I think at that age is the most important thing.
I think that was an interesting program that I valued and thought it was great to see. But one of the other things that I saw you doing was working with special needs.
Yeah.
And that seems to be something that's very close to your heart.
Yes, it is. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. And so we're in the midst of just finishing right now the final stages of starting our non-for-profit. And it's going to be called Special Project Move. And basically what it is, it's a program that we're going to be running. We've been running it for 2 years currently, just as something that we've just been doing without having anything really registered or in place. One, to see how it would go, but also two, to kind of give back. And what we do is they come with us once a week and we do a free program where they come in and they work out and they sweat and they move and we blast the Black Eyed Peas music and they have a ton of fun with that.
What are the ages? Like who's in the special needs? Like give us.
So when I say it's special needs individuals, right? We have, it's not a kids program. It's not an adults program. It's whatever. And so we have as young as I think where there's 15-year-olds. And then we've got like Riley who works with us is in the program. He's 37. And so there is no age cap with that. And our goal for that program is I've been working with special needs individuals for probably 7-8 years now. And a lot of them have been with group homes, whether it be privately run group homes or whatnot. And every time I would talk with them, I would say, what are you guys doing this weekend? I'm like, oh, we're going to the library again. And not that that's a bad thing, but it becomes, like with anything, fairly repetitive. And it kind of loses, as much as they do have fun doing it, I'm sure they would also have a lot of fun going to a Sens game or a lot of fun going to a Red Blacks game or a lot of fun going to bowling on a Friday night. And then when I talk with the owners of these group homes, it's just they don't have enough funding to be able to do that. And as much as they would like to do other things and wish they could do other things, they just don't. And it's the same thing with, some of the food is, they don't have the funding to be able to bring in the healthiest food. And so our goal for this not-for-profit is to, one, continue building the program and have these programs, these free programs that we run and bringing them into facilities to get them more fit and keep them moving. Because obviously with medications and stuff that they're on, a lot of them, they end up putting weight on just because of the medications. So to keep them moving and keeping them active as much as we can. But also the money we raise is going to go to stuff like that, whether it be like every few months, what we're going to do is basically quarterly look at the money that we've raised and say, okay, what do we want to do with this? And I've talked about pairing up with other charities. And for me, I wanted to keep it a local thing and make it a personal thing. And we started it obviously through our gyms, but also allowing the people that are giving the money to see exactly who it's going to, where it's going. It's going to stay local so that if you were to make a donation, you're going to see on Friday night, if you're at the Red Blacks game, you're going to see the crew of 30, 40, 50 of us there at the game with them and seeing the smiles on their faces and really understanding exactly where your money went. And then we might take, the next month we bring in some money and maybe that month they wanted to do yoga. So we hire a yoga instructor and we send them to the home because obviously transportation for a lot of them is hard. And so maybe with that funding, we send a yoga instructor to the house and they do yoga and we supply them with yoga mats. So there's really no exact what are we doing with it, but it's all going to be around fitness and health and to keep them, one, having fun, but also keep them active.
But it's nice because you start talking about it and you can tell like you're passionate about it, right? There's a different side and you saw what it was like to have them in the gym and their reaction. And I love seeing some of the pictures of them actually in there working out and it makes sense.
Yeah.
They need to be doing it just as much as everyone else.
Right.
So there's a ton of stuff that's on the go. Now, with that being said, I don't know, I'm getting the rundown here of of the wrap things up.
Yeah.
So you have the 2 locations right now
right.
in Manotick and on Leitrim.
Yeah.
with a third in Canada opening
Yeah.
up really soon. So for those that are listening locally, it's expanding. I mean, it's just it just keeps getting better.
Right. And so we'll be opening in Canada. We're going to be opening the first week of October. So we're just in the final stages right now of getting kind of everything. The paint's on, the equipment's coming in next week. So we'll be opening the first week of October.
Like, is there any part of you that's like, I can't believe I'm now into 3 facilities and 3 in a big
Yeah, it sets in every now and then. It's like I'll be in a class and you kind of look around. It's pretty cool. So you get like chills. But I've always, like, to me, I always wanted to do it. I know my partners, when we opened the first one, I was like, yeah, we're going to do a bunch. We're going to do a bunch in Ottawa. And they're like, okay, just relax, do one, figure that out. So it's always been something that I've wanted to do. And me being out in Canada before, it'll be nice to go back out there and get that crowd again.
Okay. And I'm assuming that there's something that also keeps you motivated. Like, what is it for you to see success stories? Like, to see someone coming in just not being that best version of themselves. And the amount of people that you've seen leave the doors a different person. Yeah,
it's crazy. And it's with anybody. My first client I ever had I was 18 years old. And honestly, I knew nothing about what I was doing. I was brand new to the industry. And she was my very first client. And fast forward 13 years later, she's still my client. And seeing her transformation from someone that came in, it was a Sunday afternoon and she was, head down, wearing baggy clothes, no makeup, really felt terrible about herself. And then a year later and ever since, coming in with tight clothing, feeling good, makeup on, smile on her face, head high. Those are the things for me that keep it going. And I've done some of the, I had an app before that I really didn't love just because you got no personal side of it. I was creating content for people that I never got to see, never got to actually understand what they were doing or the results, and you had no personal touch to it. So for me, it did nothing for me. Seeing the results and actually having the connections and building relationships with these people, that's for me what keeps me going and keeps wanting me to touch more areas of Ottawa and touch more people, and get more people involved in it and see more people's lives change.
Well, we're going to try to do that. So people can find information, fitnesslab.com.
Thefitnesslabottawa.com.
So say that again.
Thefitnesslabottawa.com.
The Fitness Lab Ottawa.
Yes.
You got to add the Ottawa in there.
Yes, we couldn't get the Fitness Lab link, so we had to add the Ottawa in there.
It's a good name. I can see why. www.thefitnesslabottawa.com. You have the 2 locations, and by the time this podcast, I mean, literally, it's going to be within days that the 3rd location is opening, so congratulations. And honestly, for people who are following both of us, and I know we have a lot of the same some of the same audience, but Adam and I are posting videos of kind of men, women workouts and similar, where you can do the similarities, where you might want to do the changes and ideas on what you might be doing at the gym and how to be able to do that same workout and implement it at home. So we're trying to bring you some more. As we mentioned, Instagram's a great place to go, and especially get informed and find content. So we're looking to be able to bring you some of that. In the meantime, continue to listen to the Living Your Life with Lianne Laing podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and let people know that the podcast is out there, and looking to be able to work with people, learn stories, and be able to create that relationship that you feel like you're getting bigger, better version of yourself each and every day. Thanks so much for listening. Adam, thanks a lot. I'll see you at the gym.
Yes, you will. Thank you very much.